Audri Scott Williams coming to you from the grandmothers, the four directions, as their wisdom continues to flow into what we know this walk to be, and not only in the physical, but in a multidimensional aspect, the spiritual, soul level aspect of what this walk is about. Many people ask me, having written NOWTIME Prophecies, where in that book a lot of what's happening today was mentioned back in 1998. And they ask me, well, what prophecies are coming forward now? What are the grandmothers saying now? The grandmothers are saying it's time for us to put that to bed, that their whole point of prophesying wasn't so much that we would get caught in the prophecy. It was to warn us so that we can begin to prepare ourselves for the morning after, if you will. That chaos is inevitable when you lead the world to such a state that it is now, when those with power have turned that power not towards humanity and Mother Earth in compassion and selfless love, but rather to fill their own pockets with greed. And that permeates out through the world and creates this culture of having to own it all, having to possess it all, and enough is never enough, and unfortunately sending that consciousness throughout humanity. We also have situations where we take from Mother Earth, not because we're in relationship with Mother Earth, but rather because we feel that the earth is there to serve us. So then the chaos becomes inevitable, because Mother Earth will always right herself. And I want you to hear what I'm saying now. Mother Earth, the Divine Mother, will always bring wholeness and harmony to the world. Why? Because that's who she is. She is the ultimate server. She places her life before us, that we have everything that we need. And then we put this notion out there that we have unlimited demand and a limited amount of supply. Well, that's not Mother Earth. If you think about it, in all of our greed and all of the ways that we tend to want to pull everything from her, she still provides. So chaos is inevitable when we want to take from the I am position, the small I am, meaning our mind, the mind of man, to build a world without a connection to the capital I am, or the God presence. And the grandmothers refer to that in NOWTIME Prophecy as S-O-N, sun consciousness without S-U-N consciousness, the S-U-N being the light source of the divine, of God, Him, herself. So now here we are in a position where we're seeing all these things that have been foretold. If we don't watch the signs, these things are going to happen. And then we want to run and hide. No, this isn't a time to run and hide. This is a time to go get everything you have that's within you. It's a time to remember who you are, whose you are, what you are a part of. To remember your relationship with all things, so that you don't look at this person as that person, Mother Earth as some separate entity, the water as some separate entity. Remember who you are, and that is remember, pulling all the members together as one, because that's where they reside. In our heart, we are Mother Earth. We are each other. There is no someone else. There is no other. When we remember that simple thing, we'll begin to treat life differently. We'll treat each other differently. Our relationship with Mother Earth will change. We won't see her as there to serve us, but there as an expression of us. And therefore, what we see in the world is who we are inside. So in this time of birthing, this period of birthing, out of the chaos into an evolved humanity, this is the time of reconnecting the membranes of the umbilical relationship we have with our Earth Mother, with the universe, with divine substance, with our higher selves, with God, Goddess, by any name you call that force. This is a time of reconnecting, remembering, and acting upon the highest of who we are to affect the world. Not from a my, me place, but from a this is our world. You are me, I am you, and how can I make this world better? Because if you're suffering, I'm suffering. If I'm suffering, you're suffering. None of us are free until all of us are free.
Anything that happens in the north in Turtle Island affects the whole planet. That's why you're here, Audri. To tell our brothers and sisters in the north and anywhere you go to that here in the Andes we will do our best to keep our tails straight up, to be in service to Pachamama, and we will only take care of this altar temporarily, because there might be a time when this puma might want to go to sleep. By then this puma will be awake. And that is what we are preparing for. And this is the puma that will be awakening within you, or that has been awakening within you through this peace walk. And this awakening is not just like you wake up and you know. It's a slow process. Slow process. It began something like 15 years ago actually, but it's still not complete yet. People who are able to arrive here are the very people who can support other pumas to wake up. People who can take the essence of the condor, of the puma and the serpent here in the south are the people who are really ready to bring this shift, this change of the tail around Pachamama, hugging around Pachamama. It's not about control, it's not about that, it's about love, it's about care, and it's about service.
I don't know why, Honorable ones, our people and the Native American people were able to come to the same conclusion as to the coming of the great change of the earth. The year of the great bull, 2015. It's not far away. It is said that the sleeping mothers who are asleep in secret places in Central Africa will wake up and they will once more give new knowledge to humankind. When the gods of the stars return, they shall find us their equals. We shall know the same things that they know, and we shall be blessed and be welcomed back to the great family of the stars.
In one of our sessions the other night, the grandmothers gave us a mantra or a prayer, and that is, if you can love enough and trust enough and let go enough, that God can work miracles in you and through you. And in the humorous side of things, they said, why not? After all, you're not who you think you are anyway. What the messages combine attempt to tell us is that this is a time now where we've been talking about, we've all been in various ways studying and learning, thinking of what could happen if humanity could evolve. What does that really mean? And so today the grandmothers want to say that, this is truly the moment. And while there are lots of things that can be expressing in our lives that appear to be negative or difficult or challenging or even chaotic, that in fact that is more the illusion than the things that are trying to break through. The challenge for us all right now is where we place our attention, what we give energy to. And if we place our attention on those things that are causing us to what we might say suffer or feel bad or to be challenged, we only accentuate that, because where we need to place our energy now is the potential openings that can happen.
See, young people don't believe that they can't do all this. In fact, in my mind, it was no problem to manifest anything. It's when you become intellectual, then you start to think or doubt, well, can I do that? It's like when I learned how to parachute. I wasn't worried about the first jump. In fact, I was so excited I wanted to do it. It was the second jump, because now I said, wow, what if all these other things happen? Am I ready to do this? See, I got back in my mind instead of in my heart. In my heart, I knew I could do it. But I got back in my head, and that's where all my elders said, separation lives here. Cooperation lives here. So, this is a place of choice. Choose. Where is it that you want to live? Here or here? Choose.
For you, Audri, you are Dispuma to me. You represent this sacred land that has the power to bring huge change to the world. Fully awakened. And all the energy, all the wisdom, all the ley lines, all the magnetic forces of the planet are now leading towards Turtle Island.
Our focus now, even in conversations, needs to be on what's being birthed here, because the cycle that has been put in place will inevitably fulfill itself. And that's what we must understand. Prophecy always fulfills itself when we miss the opportunity to see the signs and make the changes before the time of the prophecy is upon us. But this is a time when it's upon us. So what do? We focus on the fact that as we are rebirthing now, that the light is coming in. And when we say the light, that's the light of righteousness and justice and peace and harmony and love and compassion. All those things that will transform the world we live in what may come in a moment, in an instant, as change begets change, begets change. The seeds are planted. Let us nurture those seeds. Let us build up and on fertile ground that which is coming forward. And from that, I'd like to say peace, be wise, be courageous, be loving, be compassionate, be what it is you want to see in the world.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this very special gathering. My name is Audri Scott Williams. I am the author of the Diary of NOWTIME Prophecies. For the last decade, actually 12 years, I've been walking the planet for peace and change and love and compassion and awakening and the birth of a greater truth that combines us all in one beautiful web where our very existence is dependent upon our remembering. So it is an honor to be here today. I'd like to begin by bringing forward the spirit of my mother, Mama Natalie, to many people around the world on 6 continents and across this country. She is the light that has guided our walks, and we follow in the path of that light. In honor of her, I'd like to start with a quote from Adrienne Rich. When a woman tells the truth, she is creating the possibility for more truth around her. And I am so grateful that our mothers told the truth. And so that as we walk in their paths and their footprints, we get to experience and express that truth in all that we are and all that we do. You saw there Mr. Makua, Mr. Haile Makua, who is now an ancestor. I had the honor of traveling with him often, from Polynesia to South Africa, Benin, Togo, and different places. And he always began our circles. You know, sometimes I try to run from the elders when I traveled with him, because they were always trying to bring me to a greater truth, whether I was ready or not. And he would always look over and say, "Who are you?" And I remember once in South Africa, out in the middle of one of the velds there, we were surrounded by a family of baboons. And he was sitting by a pool. And this baboon came over and got in the chair next to him and looked him in the eye. And Mr. Makua leaned over and said, "Who are you?" And the baboon turned a flip and went berserk, ran off, and came back. And he asked the same question. And the baboon just sat there. So I wanted to honor Mr. Makua because he was perhaps one of my greatest teachers about truth. How it is an ever-evolving process. And it took me years to understand the significance of the elders who would always say, "Who are you?" To understand how important that question is. And so I ask all of you, who are you? Who are you? Because from my journey now coming to a place where I just simply have the pleasure and privilege of being unattached to whatever is around me, I find that I can speak the truth. And who are you is absolute infinite potential. Who you are not is the ignoring of that possibility. Who are you is awakened enlightenment. And who are we to sleep through this time? Who are you is courageous intention. Who you are not is fearful, is afraid, is hiding. And so it is within the spirit of that I'd like to share just words of wisdom from elders as I've traveled around the world. You're going to hear a lot of information today that, if you are awake, will touch you. So if you walk away and you haven't been touched, ask yourself, did I sleep through another experience? I'd like to begin with Minnie Mace, and as you hear information today, I'd like you to just hold on to the spirit and essence of what I'm sharing. Auntie Minnie Mace, we met in Australia, and she was our connection around Australia to many of the Aboriginal communities. And when I got back, she sent me a prayer. And a part of that prayer was, let those whom the gods have revealed the truth make this truth grow, that the world may be illuminated by it, and that the children of the future may live in happiness in the knowledge of this truth. You see, as we talk about prophecy, it's so important on my path that each of us has a path, each of us has a key. But it's important on my path to say that prophecy, what is prophecy? But projected potential, projected possibility from what we have done in the past, how we have lived in the past. It's just projecting. It's an if-then statement. So let us just address the fact that all that we are living in right now is the if of who we've been. And as we entertain prophecy, as we think about prophecy and its impact on the world, we are now talking about the then part of the if. Because here we are, we have arrived at that moment. But what is so important to me isn't so much about what we're going to do out there. What is important to me is what are we going to do in our inner verse. In our inner verse. We had the Big Bang theory of the universe and the starting of the universe 16 billion years ago. And I firmly believe, from traveling around the world and being with elders and all that has been bestowed upon this privileged journey, is that we are now entering the Big Bang of the inner verse. And just as the Big Bang of the universe sent life spiraling out into the universe, expressing itself in all shapes and forms and all kinds of wave patterns and substance, always recreating itself out there, that the most important thing about prophecy right now is that out there now is all of a sudden sucked into this black hole that exists deep in our heart chambers, that's pulling it all in and giving us the opportunity to tap into that fullness, to come into complete realization that we are, period. We are the true essence of divine expressing however it is we put our mind, our heart, and our soul to that experience. Will the world come to an end? If enough of us are holding that vision, then surely that will be what happens. Will this be the beginning of an enlightened age? If enough of us hold that possibility, then it already is. But we can't be on the fringe now, because on the fringe never gets us anywhere. We're on the fringe when we're afraid to step forward into who and what it is we're being called to. This is a time of the great awakening. It's a time to take it one step at a time, as we're coming into the awareness of the explosion, the Big Bang, in a black hole in the center of our hearts. No matter where I was on this planet, the elders talked about that Holy of Holies right here. No matter where I was on the planet, the elders talked about how it's time for us to journey from our books into the greatest book ever written. And so I am so encouraged, even in the midst of what we are hearing, because what we are hearing is simply bringing us all to the starting line of a new possibility. We have a lot of work to do. And we're not going to do it if we don't engage. And that's why I said sitting on the sidelines is not the option now. We must engage. Our life depends on it. And greater than our life is all the life that's being birthed around us. It's the children who are here who will inherit. What are they going to inherit? What are we passing forward? What prophetically are we engaging in right now to shift the universe, to shift the world, to shift our universe? So as you hear the great wisdom of our elders today, as you learn about what's happening in the environment, in the ocean, I want to ask one other thing of you. To look around and let's say, who isn't here? And let's bring them in. I want you to pay attention to the people you pass every day, going from work, going home, wherever you go. Pay attention. Because our humanity is what's the greatest at risk right now. Our humanity. We cannot move forward with what is happening to our human family. We cannot pretend that we don't have responsibility for the condition of each other. If we're going to talk about change in our interconnectedness, it begins right here. And it begins by healing in here so that we can extend that healing to our families and to our communities and to the world. It's about making tough decisions, answering the tough questions. But if you see something projected, that projected probability we call prophecy, then ask yourself, what is being projected from here? Because as we heal the world. As we take responsibility for those things that maybe we had nothing to do with. But through our lineage, we have an opportunity to clean it up. That's the time. One of the elders from Wisconsin said to all of us down in Kumbalama in South Carolina, this is the time to forgive the unforgivable. The time to forgive the unforgivable. We have to own it and let it go. Because if we can't do that, anything else we do will be temporal, will be temporary. Whether it's cleaning up the environment, or whether it's dealing with economic matters within our communities, whether it's even personal healing. How many elders have said to me, that person was healed when they got up. But as soon as they walked out of here and walked back into their normal setting, they let go of the healing. We can't let go of the healing. So as we talk about prophecy, the projected probability when we slip into that holy of holy place within is that all is well. But we have to be it. We have to act in that knowing. We are the ones we've been waiting for. What's good? Mahatma Gandhi, I'd like to leave you with this statement. I'm not sure of my time, so I'm going to ask to be prompted. But Mahatma Gandhi said, there is a soul force in the universe, which if we permit it, will flow through us and produce miraculous results. And the grandmothers who have been my guides all my life, these 4 old ladies in spirit who've been bossing me around, making me crazy, but that's their job, always saying, if you can love enough, if you will live enough, and if you will let go enough, the seeds in you will flourish and the world will be reborn. Thank you from my heart to you.